Hey guys, it's Mythology's Bot here. I have another build for Post-Epoch-Karl. It's kind of this auto lock-in. I'm probably going to auto lock-in rifle or something like that. Nice to see everybody. Thank you for the likes, subscribes, and views. But let's get into Psycharium real quick and check this out.
I can see you will be a
Okay, so obviously we have the paratransonics. I usually have them locked in with the internalized energy flowing into the body rather than out. I kind of like that better because it gives you kind of a permanent power weapon. And then the Vigilant Auto Rifle here. But let's check these out real quick. So let's start with a pair of transonic blades. Obviously, the cleave efficiency is going to be the lowest. I want penetration, critical bonus, and finesse to be the highest points on this thing. Cleave efficiency is nice, but I don't necessarily need it as much as I need those other ones. And for the perks on that one, we're going to go with Carapace armor, which it's got low Carapace. I really agree with you on that one, but it really needs that damage boost against Carapace. That's one thing you really need these tools to cut very well with. And then in yielding just to handle bosses a little bit better. And then with that, we have Shred and Bladed Momentum. Bladed Momentum's just to get a little bit more rending in there from hitting multiple enemies in one sweep. And then Shred stacks into a lot of the critical talents, which is very nice to have. So really nice, kind of fun little weapon here. I really enjoy these. They're really cool looking. But let's go down to the Vigilant Auto Gun, which I really like this weapon. I think it's great. I think it's really good for the auto lock on. And then obviously the smallest stat in that is going to be mobility. The rest of the stuff is a little bit more important than the mobility is. You could make an argument for maybe knocking down the stability if you really felt like it. But I never really do that on any guns because I want them to be as stable as possible, right? But so for that, unyielding and flak, so boss damage or reapers, mutants, any of those kind of guys that are running at you that you don't want them to run at you, those guys, and then any flak armored one. Since we're using a Colossus M33, this is the lowest damage vigilant. It fires 2 shots, has the most ammo, but it does need a little bit of buff against flak, right? And then we have Crucian Relay there. So it's just the more you drain your clip, the more crit chance you're going to get. That's going to stack into a lot of things we have. And then we also have Deadly Accurate to up that weak spot damage. And we have a couple boosts for that as well on there too. And then for the Curios, these are pretty standard. They haven't changed in any way. We have a Toughness, Curio, Toughness, Toughness. But then we also have Ability Combat Regeneration, Stamina Regeneration in all 3. And then Revive Speed and Toughness. Perfect. Just to give your shields a little bit to be beefier, right? So let's go in the talent tree real quick. This varies a little bit from our flensing build. I guess I could probably take a picture of that real quick, but we're gonna kind of start over. Let's start over from the right, and we'll go to the left, or maybe left to right, since that's how most people read. So yeah, let's go left to right. So we're gonna start over here with the red line capacitors, right? So we kind of start in the middle and then make our way over here, but I'm going to start from the right and go from the left, go from the right to read like normal. So spending or gaining charges gives you capacity, generation, and toughness. Over 12 seconds, spending 4 times stacks decay 1 time. Plus, you have an additional +1 max ability. And then you have rending on 3 red line capacitors above. I would absolutely love to get some more of these. I just don't have the points. Just don't have the points. Then we're going to go down to when you and an ally coherency takes toughness damage, restore 25% stamina. 15-second cooldown. When you and an ally in coherency take health damage, restore 25% toughness. Perfect. Kind of helps out a lot. I kind of like target prioritizing palms, but I honestly think it's not 100% needed. Especially, you should be able to develop that blind sense in your ears of what's around you. That is not needed in my mind, but to each their own. We're going to go with sequence charge here. So we gain strength on charge, gaining a new charge. Then we'll come all the way over here. Evasive servo recovery. I really like this one. Successful dodges restore 10% stamina. That just keeps your stamina up, which is a very spent resource for these guys. Then we're going to go from channel motive force. Spending 1 stamina grants 15% damage for 4 seconds. Residual current buffer, 10% damage reduction reduced by 2.5 per current charge. Great. Charge, great. Last stand relay. I really wish I could get like change this up and put it somewhere else. I'm really thinking about this one. I might move around, but that crit chance is so nice. I just have trouble getting rid of it. So I'm thinking about maybe shifting that one up to one of these ones up here, but I don't know yet. And then with that, we have the flux conduit buildup. So that's essentially critical hits generate 5% capacity over 4 seconds. Perfect. Then we go down to adaptive combat calibration. So gain 30% melee creep while above 50% toughness and 30% impact while below. Perfect. Uncapped arrestor. Successful melee attacks gain 2.5 melee attack speed for 3 seconds, stacking 5 times. Then we have faux render creed. I just really like this one because it gives you rending and cleave. Great. The things you almost never get, right? Rending and cleave. Rending and cleave. You know what? Let's do this. I really want more max ability stacks, so we're going to put that into resource optimization. I really do like Servo recharge engine, but I think that might be better spent up there on this resource optimization. So we kind of got that mixed up, but I corrected it in game, so we'll see how we're doing there. Then we have the auto repair doctrines. This just really helps you replenish toughness per second, right? That's just huge. And increases per charge as well. Great. Then we're going to come all the way up here. So binary ballistics protocol elites, elite kill restore 15% toughness over 3 seconds. Great. We got a Mobian conductor. Oh, Mobian conductors, the best. 15% damage on ability use. Great. Augmented power cycle. This just kind of keeps your capacity generation up all the time, right? We already did binary ballistics. So then we're also going to come down to this almost ammo cell augury right here. Just solid. But let's go all the way down to the shield. You guys have seen this once before. I just like the shield because it saved me so many times. It also gets you into this reactor coil recharge as well. Respawn skills regenerate 2% capacity. Great. Sure shot cognator sync. 25% weak spot damage. We already have like 125% weak spot damage. I don't know how that calculates in properly, but it's huge. Target neutralization feedback. Weak spots kills grant stun and suppression immunity for 4 seconds. Hey, great. You're already stacking headshots. You might as well stack some more, right? Integrated refraction emitter, which is our void shield, for sure. That's a void shield. Which you spend grenades to charge, which is kind of funny because you could see like one of these guys breaking a grenade and charging essentially like an energy unit to charge a void field, right? That's awesome. I love that kind of small story in there. For that, we're going to have the overcharge refraction emitter, so increased field duration. Additionally, you would electrocute enemies at the additional time at the midpoint of its duration, so you shock twice. Great. And then we're going to have kinetic repulsion, so limit all health damage taken when integrated refraction emitter is active to 50. You turn you into a tank. It's great. So let's go over to like the key aiming sites here. So we're going to have gunsmith, obviously. That's kind of standard on all our builds. Same with this ammunition restoration pod. Wow. Every 15 seconds, replenish 1% of your max ammo reserve. That's important because the Columnist 3, the Vigilant that we have, has a ton of ammo. And it restores very quickly. So it's great. Like, I love it. So let's go into the advanced combat doctrine. So you spend capacity, swap to your secondary weapon, locks on a target, close to your enemy. Radical granting you inhuman accuracy, gains minus 90% spreads, minus 60% recoil. While active, 10% drain capacity per second, and an additional 1% per shot. So it drains more per shot. Whatever. Drain is paused during reloading. Great. That's amazing. The ability disables. You switch to secondary weapon from your secondary weapons or your melee weapons. If you reach 0 capacity and 0 charges, or if you reactivate it. Only usable if you have at least one charge available. Okay. And there is a little bit of confusion with this. I've seen that people are saying it doesn't work properly. I think there's like an internal timer on it. I don't know, man. It seems like you have to aim and let yourself lock onto something before you really just let this thing go, right? Which means like if you're firing very quickly, it doesn't have enough time to actually lock on to stuff. So advanced combat doctrines restore 10% toughness per second for the duration, instantly clears all suppression on activation. Great. And then I would love to grab a few more of these too. Fire rate, yeah. Reload speed, yeah. Elite kills, gain damage, yeah, I would love all that. But piercing sight is very nice and very needed for this weapon, especially because these rifles don't get like cleave ever. or range critical strike, or increased range cleave, or like that's crazy that it has all that into one build, and you can stack that into a vigilant that fires quickly and accurately. So I think it's kind of fun. I really like this. Kind of spreads out. It's not like our flensing build, but it has up over here on the red line capacitors. And then we're going to grab each one of these power cycles, each one of these flux conduit buildups, and then reactor coil charges as well. And then we just kind of grab some key talents, make sure we get in our shield over here, and then we come over here to the advanced combat doctrines. So we got kind of an aiming and shooting kind of thing. But let's go with the transonic blades first. They're pretty easy. Obviously, I keep these locked on the internalized form because it keeps them as a form of like an actual power weapon itself. But let's see what this does. I have it spec'd out to do damage towards anybody with... Yeah, see that? Just brutal. Goes right through. Now, obviously, it does a little bit less damage to the guys with Carapace. But that's still not bad, right? That double strike right there, or even, or light strikes, that knife right to the throat, right? Power attack, that double cleave, just straight down. And then the push block. That's a good way of getting bladed momentum there. See that? Stacking up so quickly, multiple enemies hit. Hey, guess what? Now you have more rending. That little extra power you needed to cut down some of these groups of people, not hard to get when you have bladed momentum. So I pretty much only keep it in this one. Obviously, blocking is going to rebuff most of the attacks. So if somebody comes in with something, they're going to bounce off you because of the vibro weapons. Essentially, that's what these are. Oh yeah, that push block is amazing. And then that, just the sweep down, the pokes. Oh yeah, they did a really good job on the attack pattern on this one. So obviously you can switch it over to the other one, which brings it more into a sweeping attack, right? But you can see how much less damage that does right there. See, it takes forever. You really have to get them in a spot where their flesh is at. Whereas opposed to that one, it just obliterates them. So that's the transonic blades. Not too hard to do there. Just kind of a quick little intro on them. That's the reason why I keep them like this. I don't have to futz with switching the blades over a whole bunch. There are very many valid ways of running these weapons. I just like keeping them internalized because it keeps the energy in. It keeps it more of a power weapon. So let's go with the auto rifle. This is the... Hold on one second. I got to say this one more time. Columnless MK3. It's the weakest one, the weakest and fastest firing with the most ammo, which does help for a lot of the ammo restoration pods as well. But this thing's pretty easy to kind of shoot, right? 2 shots, aim towards heads. Great. It's exactly what you need it for. You can also aim, towards areas that are critical locations in humans. A lot of femoral triangles or any of the bad place to get hit more is a femoral triangle. You don't want to get hit there, bud. It sucks. But let's activate our ability, and you can kind of see how this works. Like I said, I haven't had many issues with this, and I have seen a lot of people have some problems with it. But let's just activate our ability. So now we're going to activate our aim down sights or auto targeting. So you have to wait until this locks onto people's heads, right? And if it's not locked on, so you see that range cleave there? So it doesn't do too much to the Carapace guys, but it's going right through these guys. Right through them. And that's just awesome. I really enjoy using this Vigilant, especially these different marks, because a lot of people don't use this weapon, and I think it's very... Oh, that barrel is glowing. I think it's a very solid weapon. There we go. And you can see with all that rend we have in our talent tree, even with the red line capacitors there, you can kind of see we're still sitting at a pretty high amount. We're generating a lot of crit. We're eating a lot of weak spot spits, which is keeping our capacitors up as well, right there. Wow, that barrel is glowing. So usually what it is you have to wait until this thing locks in on a select area. If you're spamming fire, you're not giving a chance for your cognate or whatever, your computer, to essentially lock onto the target and let go, right? So that's one problem I've seen a little bit with auto-firing rifles is they're not like properly targeting, but I'm not a dev. I don't have the whole story. I don't do the full breakdown of some of these things, but like that's just what I can see is when you're not aiming down sights at them, and you're not letting your machine brain kind of lock onto these things, you can hear that old beep. That's when it's locked on, and that's when you can fire. When you hear that beep, you're locked onto the target, right? Kind of like a little Tony Stark servitor thing, you know, or something like that. Let's just get this back real quick. There we go. Doesn't stack, but I like stab myself, so, you know, for the God Emperor. So let's try that one more time. See, we're locking kind of right there. Make sure we lock onto the head. We want to be shooting heads here, because weak spots hits get us capacity. You can kind of see it go up when you're killing things right there. Still going. You can see that little blue icon there. But like I said, I've been having a ton of fun with this. But let's just go over the shield. The shield is pretty obvious right here. This thing, like I said on the other cleansing build I have, it turns you into a tank. It'll help you res people. It'll save your allies from shooting. It'll block these guys' fires. It'll block their fire. It'll block pretty much everybody's fire. It makes you immune to shooting. You know how much I would pay for that in the tabletop? I'd pay so much money for that. So much money. But these shields I only use in certain respects. If I'm getting somebody up, if I'm fighting a boss, if I'm really feeling tense, right? I'm gonna, yeah, and even then you can kind of see that kind of eat through them. Use a lot of ammo, but it will kill him eventually. But you're feeling really tense, or if you feel like you're backed up against a wall, hit that shield. That is your life-saving button. That's your oops, oh boy, I messed up. And even then, that shock right there, you see that midfield shock that it just did. It just stunned everybody, and then it's going to do the same thing when it gets released. But like I said, I'm having a ton of fun with this new build for Post-Epoch-Karl. This is kind of my auto lock-on rifle or something like that. I don't really have a name for it yet, but I'll come up with something, right? But I just kind of wanted to go over that. Like I said, having a ton of fun. But thank you guys for the likes, the views, the subscribes. Everything you guys are doing is amazing, and I really appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there, travelers, and we will see you on Sunday for more Darktide, okay? Talk to you later, guys. Bye.